Get it out of there. Oh, whew, thank goodness. Whew. Oh, boys. This is what happens when you're alone at the wheel without Stephen Peak there. I'm Nick Roush. This is 11 Personnel presented by Monticello Bank. We start a little later. I think that's going to be the plan moving forward because these availability reports drop pretty much as soon as we plan on going live at 8 p.m. So, trying to juggle both. Let's just wait till the availability report gets out. Luckett's posting that now, and it's ticks me off a little bit. We'll get to that in a moment. But you know who doesn't tick me off? It's you fine folks in the chat. We appreciate you joining us. And our friends at Monticello Bank. Like the folks in the chat, it's where people matter. You guys matter too. Sorry we left you hanging there momentarily. You were expecting 8 o'clock. We're going to start doing around 8:15 or so. We won't leave you hanging, though, just like Monticello Bank won't leave you hanging. They've been putting people first for over 125 years across the Commonwealth. They got branches all across Kentucky. There's one near you. There's one in Louisville right there on Hurstbourne Lane. We were out in the one right off Harrodsburg Road, which is technically Nicholasville. I don't know what that technical location is, but there's also one in Lexington. They've got branches near you all over the place, and they're conveniently located online at nbcbank.com. And if you're going on the road with the Cats this weekend, you can go anywhere with the Go NBC mobile app. Monticello Bank, bank local. They'll take care of you. They'll make sure that you get the best rate possible. Check them out today. Monticello Bank, nbcbank.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC, and proud presenting sponsors of 11 Personnel. I'll start just right from the jump real quick because we do have a lot of things. In addition to the availability report, we're going to spend a good amount of this show talking about Kentucky versus South Carolina. This is what this show is for, right? It's for previewing the upcoming game. We're only a couple days away. I admittedly kind of got my calendar a little screwy. I'm so excited for this first road trip of the year. Kept thinking today was Thursday. So horse, cart, we're getting them a little out of order here. But we also had a huge Tuesday night. Had me out late at KS Bar. They were closing the doors in the building. The Reds were cooked, and I was still up there working because we had to write all about the upcoming schedule. We found out who Kentucky's going to play for the next 4 years, 2026 through 2029, in the new world order of the SEC with a 9-game slate. It's loaded, filled with marquee matchups that you can get a lot of bang for your buck if you're a season ticket holder. And there's a lot of great opportunities to hit the road, but it's going to be more challenging. It's going to be a lot more challenging. So we're going to talk about all of that and much more. Oh, Tinker's in the chat. How we doing, Tinker? How's my favorite Vol? Doing good. Worried about Starkville? And cowbells are going to be awfully loud. They're going to be louder than all those woos. Be a real shame if you went to Starkville and lost. Just saying. Knocked off Arizona State. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that will be included in the Pigskin preview when we share our picks tomorrow afternoon. But I have a feeling Tennessee will take care of business. Shout out to Gregory, who's watching from Pensacola, Florida. We appreciate you joining us. I hope it's not storming like Norman down there. It has not stopped raining, and that is one big bugaboo I got going wrong with me right now is that I needed to cut the grass before leaving. And it's I'll cut the grass tomorrow. And ever since I said that on Sunday, it has rained every day since. The basement, there's water everywhere. It's too soggy. We needed the rain. I get it. But we went, can we have a little balance here? A little Bush Hamden balance, right? In the Commonwealth of Kentucky, it was 7 months was incredibly soggy, or just the wettest year ever. August was the driest month on record, and driest August on record, and yet we still have the 8th highest rain total in the Commonwealth's history. It makes no sense. Now it's raining 4 days in a row. We just need a little yin, a little yang. We need to balance it out, balance attack. Maybe Kentucky can get that on Saturday. They might not need it. Just run the damn ball. Boley, hit a couple long shots, maybe a long scramble. You stick your tongue out while you're going down. Running down the sideline. Oh, Steven Johnson. Shout out to old Steve-O. And shout out to our good friend Adam Luckett, who's back in action, ready to rock and roll here on 11 Personnel. Let's see if I can. Hey, there we go. Ready to rock and roll. How you doing tonight, Mr. Luckett?
Pretty good. availability report season. I was listening to you. You did a good job there.
Okay.
Nick, very proud.
Oh, thanks. I've done a solo radio a time or two. I was waiting to just say how pissed off I am that DJ Waller's listed as doubtful. Like, Stoops, if you're going, just say it on Monday. Why are you? He's not playing. Like, and the way this is trending, like he's not going to play till after the next bye. Like, it's probably a hamstring. He's going to be out for like 2 months.
He's been on the roster for, let's see here. This will be 16 games, Nick. Mm-hmm. He will have missed 8 of those.
Can't make the club in the tub.
Yep. Good thing Tyron Nichols looked like he was at practice today. So they will at least have him, and then Troy Stellato and Josiah Hayes, who missed Eastern Michigan game. They are both back. But really the notable part of this injury report is, one, Kentucky won't have Waller. So you need Nichols and Hardaway to hold up and pretty much play the entire game. But Carolina is without some key players. Potentially 2 secondary starters could be out. In multiple offensive line or multiple trench starters. Casey Henry, who might be their best player on the line at right tackle, looks like he's not going to play. He's doubtful. And Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy, defensive tackle. Mark Stoops talked about how their defensive tackles gave Kentucky a lot of issues. He's their best defensive tackle. If you're ranking best players on the defense, he's maybe second or third. He got hurt against Missouri. He's doubtful. So it looks like he's going to be out. Nolan Hay, they tinkered with the offensive line, let him play center, moved Bose Stanley, who was playing center, out to guard. Well, Hay gets hurt in his first game against Missouri. So now they're having to, do a lot of shuffling on the offensive line there. So Kentucky not having Waller is significant. You need Nichols to hold up there, but South Carolina's got some notable injuries they're dealing with as well.
Well, especially just from that's kind of been their bugaboo in recent years, right? Is strength on one side of the trenches and a big weakness, right? Like the fact that they were able to kind of duct tape things together last year kind of enabled Norris Sellers to have his breakout year because Spencer Rattler spent his 2 years basically running for his life down there. Mm-hmm. So that's significant. That's significant. Also, that kid's name, Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy, that's a mouthful. That's a mouthful. Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy.
Yeah, it's a lot of letters there.
I'm also just distracted. I can't believe we've got so many folks in Florida watching right now. Kevin is in Lakeland, and then back in the South is in Lakewood Ranch.
Pensacola, Gregory, Wethington.
Yeah. I feel like
shout out the Gulf.
Is Lakeland, is there a college there? Am I right about that? Or am I thinking of DeLand? I'm thinking of Stetson is in DeLand, right?
You're thinking of the Stetson Hatters in DeLand.
Yeah, they got the little top hats.
Did you know that? No,
DeLand
you weren't with me.
Do you know DeLand is by the DC?
You know that's where JoJo Kemp is from, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
DeLand.
On KSR today. Shout out JoJo. And Derek, he's flipped over from the volleyball game. Now he's sipping on some bourbon, watching 11 personnel before Van comes on. Hey, what you sipping on? What kind of bourbon?
Need some brown water to deal with us. Understood. He understood the assignment here.
Oh, man. Big shout out to Garrison. He's loving the content and tries to stay more active with the football community. So hopefully we can get a win to keep this thing rocking and rolling. And that, I think, is – we got into the nitty-gritty there a little bit with the availability report. Ultimately, could be better for Kentucky, could be worse. But there's a lot of shuffle on the deck going on for South Carolina. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty of it, but I do think, Luckett, it's important to note just right off the jump that, and especially in Garrison's case, where he's wanting to be more active in the football community, this game is going to determine how active the football community is. Not just the diehards, but Johnny Casual, right? Like the people that are our friends or like the guys you see out that want to talk ball with you. If Kentucky loses, they're not going to really want to talk ball with you. They're just going to say that Stoop stinks. I don't care anymore. Time to move on. That's a good chunk of the fan base. Where that's going to be the reality if they don't win this game. Because if they don't, there's a good chance they might not win for another month. Plus. So Big Cat calls them gateway games, where like if you win this game, there's a gateway to having good game down the road. But if you lose, season's over, everything sucks, and we're the worst team ever. Like that's what it's like for Kentucky. And then Lucky, you made the point on KSR Plus. If you aren't on there, subscribe. Promo code UK1 will get you 2 months for $1. But it's a very similar situation for South Carolina, albeit without the same pressure on Shane Beamer. But at the same time, I mean, you've got seemingly a generational talent at quarterback. Are you going to waste it with an 0-3 start in SEC in play? So there's a lot of pressure on both teams here to perform well. And the way this game sets up, it's going to be a close slobber knocker where they go toe-to-toe for at least 3.5 quarters. And we're going to be on the edge of our seats. And I hope for nothing else, like set all the animosity towards Beamer and all that stuff aside. Like, I really want to talk about meaningful football games in late October and November, and it's going to be hard to do that if Kentucky doesn't win on Saturday.
Yeah. Well, I've talked about probably since, I don't know, May, maybe earlier than that.
Yeah.
This whole season really came down to getting to 3 wins heading into week 6. You had to get 3. And what that really meant was you had to at least split Ole Miss, South Carolina. And if you could get both, you would have a path to like a really good season. But you have to get one of these games. And the way it's set up, Nick, it looks like Ole Miss might be really, really good. So they're probably better than expected. But South Carolina is worse than expected, right?
Yeah. Same thing
like
with
South
Florida.
That game looks very, very winnable right now. Mm-hmm. And so Kentucky, this game is so interesting to me because it can really tell like your personality type. Are you a glass half full person? Are you a glass half empty person? Because there are a lot of things where I think you could be glass half empty. Kentucky's bad out of the bye week. They've got this long power conference losing streak. They're starting a redshirt freshman, and his first career start is going to be in that stadium. They're just like, and it's like, they've got a first-round pick. How are we going to stop them? There's a lot of glass half empty. Then there's glass half full. Yep. Like Kentucky rebuilt the trenches. South Carolina did a poor job, or it looks like South Carolina didn't do a great job kind of building from the inside out. Kentucky's going to be able to run the football. South Carolina is reeling. This is a team that has, we talk about Kentucky's offensive issues, but they've scored 6 offensive touchdowns in 4 games. Yeah. And they haven't played defensive juggernauts. These are defenses most offenses should be able to score on. They look very, very bad. They've had issues throwing the football, running the football, and Sellers has had to be Superman. He got a concussion in 1 game. So, like, it's really where you fall in that. The only thing I think I know really in this game is that it's going to be a slugfest. It's going to be played in the mud, and it's going to be decided in the 3rd and 4th quarters. Yeah. And so whoever plays better in that moment. But Kentucky's whole rebuild, to me, Nick, was to go and win games like this. That's what they built this team for. And so we'll get to see if they can go and do it. It's a fascinating game for both sides because, like you mentioned, South Carolina is a projected double-digit dog right now in every remaining game. Just go look at their schedule. It's, it got a little easier potentially because they maybe they get Oklahoma without John Mateer. But what we've seen from South Carolina offense against that Oklahoma defense does not look like a very fun afternoon. But every other game is going to be tough for them. Every SEC game, that is going to be tough for them. Whereas for Kentucky, after this game, they could play 3 playoff teams in a row. And then the game after that could be a team knocking on the door of the playoff in Auburn. So they're facing a brutal slate here after this game. So it's a huge game for both teams, but it's a game both teams need a win because I think they have in November where they can maybe make some noise, but they have to win this game first. So there's just a lot of stakes. And then you just looked at the fact, Nick, typically for both sides of this game, the winner goes on to have a good season. Yeah. The loser it's going to be harder to have a good season. It's hard for these teams, I think, to coexist at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you just look at throughout the years. I mean, when Spurrier had the 3 straight 10-win seasons, when Stoops had his best seasons. Like it's a seesaw, and it's comparable to what Jared used to say about the UK UofL game, right? Like you can't really have a good season unless you beat those.
So
guys.
this game is loaded. Like it's absolutely loaded. And from the Kentucky angle, Nick, I worry if Kentucky loses this game, just how does the program handle these next few weeks? Because I think the animosity is going to get pretty loud.
Oh yeah,
especially when you have 2 home games coming up that you're going to be a possession or more dog in.
Mm-hmm.
And if you lose those 2 home games, just how do they kind of handle all that? It's going to be it'll be a rough October for them.
Yeah.
And so it's a huge game where if you win it, I think it builds almost like a buffer zone. I don't know what else to call it. And where you've got confidence where the outlook is just different because all right, get through this stretch. We've got some winnable games in November. We can close strong. Where if you lose this, you're looking up and it's going to be like, well, when's this program going to win a power conference game again? Like you can't even win a power conference game, let alone one at home. You just can't win any. It could just get really, really negative.
Well, and just to your point, I mean, when we talked in the preseason about how things might go, a big sticking point I had is that not all wins are created equally, right? Like there's nuance. Not every 5 and 7 is built differently. There's a good chunk of this fan base that really hates that guy on that other sideline, and beating him and getting that thing right, it buys you some breathing room, right? Like that Ole Miss game, it gave him a little bit of leeway. It really did. And I think the way that how embarrassing the last 2 losses have been, because, it was 31-6 is the final score, but it's 10-6 in the third quarter.
Middle of third quarter. Yeah.
Yeah. You have 2 strip sacks. You can't get on either one of them. And then they go down and score. And then there's pick 6. The game kind of blows open from that point on. But then the year prior, I mean, Dane fumbled twice inside the 40 where they were going in to score. And then the defense gets a big play, and then Devin Leary gets strip sacked on the very next play. Like it was just after that game, Stoops looked like he got hit by a truck. Like he was sitting down we were getting ready to walk into the interviews, and he's just like sitting there, just like exasperated, talking to Eddie Grant, just like, how did we just lose to this freaking football team? So there's some that's why they're a rival on that annual schedule, right? Like this game means a lot. So getting a win would be important, and we're going to tell you kind of the roadmap to how we get there. And I think a big point of emphasis is when it is a low-scoring series. I actually need to – Shane, I know you're watching. You were incorrect during your press conference on Tuesday. It's every year since 2015 there hasn't been more than 24 offensive points. He said 2016, Luckett, but 2015, Kentucky had 24 offensive points. It got to 26 because of Denzel Ware's scoop and score. So
yeah, but what about the COVID game? Are you just throwing out the COVID game?
Yeah, we're taking out COVID,
Okay.
But every other game since 2015. So that's 9 games, I think. It's a race to 24. This game is a race to 24. And South Carolina showed last week against Missouri that they're willing and eager to play a low possession game. They got, I think, 11. It's either 10 or 11. I don't know if you count into halves or whatever. And Kentucky's fine with playing one of those games. So really the key here is, can you be methodical and A, stay ahead of the chains, B, don't make stupid, enormous, egregious mistakes, because that's kind of probably what's going to determine the game. And then C, are you kicking field goals or are you converting in the red zone, right? Like, or not even that. Like, are you getting into inside the 40 and scoring, or are you doing some dumb where you got to go for it on 4th down and punt it or play the field position game? And we're sitting here questioning Stoops' decisions afterwards, right? Like, it's finishing drives with points. I think you could probably even get away with settling for some field goals here and there with this one. And Luckett, at least South Carolina, when you look at them on paper, they're a team that looks willing and able to let Kentucky kind of march down the field on their ass.
Yeah, I think turnovers have been huge in this game. In 4 combined games with Beamer, South Carolina's +7 in the turnover column. They're +6 in the 2 games in that stadium. Like Kentucky won one of those games, but it really should have been like a 17-point win. In the other one, Kentucky probably wins if there's just -1 or maybe even -2. So that jumps out to me right away. And we talked about how ball security was an issue with first year under Hamden. It's been good to this point in the year. And so we'll see what happens in this game. But South Carolina's defense, Nick, I think to your point, yes, they're a little more bend but don't break. This year they don't have the star power. And Alex is right. Yes, I agree. It's one of the biggest games of the Stoops era. I don't think you can deny that. But you have to finish drives. One thing, like if you look at what I have in the scouting report, like the stat profiles of South Carolina's offense and defense, the one good number is South Carolina's red zone defense. And
that's the one thing they do well.
Yeah. And that's been Kentucky's, bugaboo, right? Now, it's been better this year, but Ole Miss stood out. You were 2 for 5, red zone touchdown percent, 40% gets Ole Miss. So that stands out, and they have not been good under Bush Hamden in the red zone. But personally, Nick, I think maybe the game could be as simple as this. Can Kentucky score 3 offensive touchdowns? If they can, they're going to win this game. If they can't, it's going to be pretty difficult. I just don't know. At some point, you're going to have to score that to win. To win some games here, and so that's why there's so much things working against it. You love the matchup. I think there's a bunch of reasons to really like this matchup for Kentucky, but there's things working against them when you consider how they've played coming out of the bye week. The glitchiness we've seen of their big play defense, which is the one thing South Carolina does well on. They do almost nothing well on offense, but the one thing they're decent at is creating explosive plays in the passing game. And then Kentucky's offense, just can they score enough? Because I think one of my concerns will be you just kind of let South Carolina hang around. And then the first-round quarterback does a first-round quarterback thing in the fourth quarter, and then it's like 2 years ago with Rattler.
Yeah.
You couldn't extend the lead. You felt like you were in control. You just had to add one more score, and you won the game. You couldn't do it. You messed around. Rattler puts a drive together, and then you lose.
Or the other part is then the redshirt freshman does the redshirt freshman thing. And I feel like Cutter Boley, we're dealing with a double-edged sword where I like it personally, and I think it can work for this team, but Cutter has very much he's a member of Team NFs, right? Like he's got I'm gonna rip it no matter what, right? Like I'm going for the kill shot. Josh Caddis joked that he's kind of like a golden retriever, and Cutter was like, "Oh, it's because it's my hair," and it's like also because you're just kind of like just out there having a good time, like you're just playing ball, man. Like he just plays. And he seems pretty unaffected by whatever's going on around him. He's going to go in there. He has a presence in the pocket. He feels what's happening, but he's always got his eyes downfield, and he's always looking for the big play. And I think that goes back to the double-edged sword of he's probably going to create some explosives, but he's probably going to go hunting for that big play and bite off more than he could chew and have an aggressive turnover or two. So, when does that hit? When does it bite you? Like, that's something I want to be very mindful of here. I think long-term, that's that's what this offense needs. Because to your point, Luckett, if you suck in the red zone, you know how you solve that is you capitalize on one of Bush Hamden's shot from the 40s, right? So he'll probably get you one of those, but he also might get you one of those costly turnovers. As Stoops said, like, when it was talking about interceptions and fumbles, it's like, it was on his call-in show Monday. You want your quarterback to take some chances, but you don't want Dylan Stewart to whoop somebody's ass and hit him from behind. The ball's on the ground, and it's just you can't have that. So that's kind of what I'm keeping an eye on. One other thing that Nick brought up in the chat too that I think is a great idea. We should do the Detroit Lions play in the red zone with the offset eye, hand it off to Dowdell, sweep, and then he pitches it to McGowan. The option. That play was awesome.
I want people to remember what happened last year in two of the bigger road games of the season, Ole Miss and Florida. Ole Miss, they run a throwback pass to Brock Vandergriff. It's wide open on the first drive. Probably should have been a touchdown. Miss it. Flea flicker against Florida for a touchdown. So I would very much expect a gadget play.
Yeah, mute earmuffs, Beamer. Earmuffs.
I would very much expect a gadget play. Another thing I do want to point out, Nick, you talked about afraid Cutter maybe make the big mistake or whatever. Clayton White, South Carolina's defensive coordinator, has he's probably the reason they've won 3 of 4. They have played probably arguably their best defensive game of the year against Kentucky every time they've played in this game. Through 4 games, Kentucky scored 5 offensive touchdowns. Kentucky's never passed for more than 171 yards. They've never averaged more than 6 yards per attempt. Twice they've been under 5 yards per attempt, and they've got at least 1 interception in every game so far in this series. Now, there's been some, like Kentucky's had some offensive issues at times, right? You didn't have Levis one year, but they've had a hard time moving the ball and scoring. And the only time they really dominated their game with the ground attack was 2021. Yeah. And I'm not sure if this team can do that yet. I mean, that's good. That's TBD. We'll see.
Well, you've seen the numbers, though, Luckett. Their opponents have twice as many rushing yards as they do.
That's more of an indictment on their offense than their run defense. But it was not good. Last week was bad.
Yeah. Yeah. That's part of it too. Is like I think,
gonna have a little league home run here.
I think Faison has 140 yards in 4 games. That's bad. They can't run the ball at all. So if you can at least keep some drives alive, wear on their defense, lean on them a little bit with 2 of your big backs. Dante Dowdell, he left with the thigh bruise in that Eastern Michigan game. He wasn't listed on that availability report. You're going to have those guys ready to rock and roll. So lean on them and, be real nice if Cutter hits on a couple of those shots, because that was something Leach brought up too on the coach's show. And I hate to just echo whatever they said on the coach's show, but the way that the back, like the makeup of the backfield, Cutter Boley, I think, has some similarities to Steven Johnson. And if you look at the stat profiles, it feels like that's where they wanted to be. Steven Johnson had a lot of games where he's 13 of 21 or, 15 of 25, 12 of 22. It feels like that's kind of where they want Boley to be, and that's totally fine if you're hitting on some of those big shot plays. So capitalize on some of those, keep them on your heels, and hell, it'd be nice. That was one thing about that 21 game, as ugly as it was, like it. You did take the crowd out early with that demoralizing drive, and it's going to be rough.
It's just hard. It's hard for a crowd to get into a game when the offense is just 3 and out and inefficient, and that's what I think would be the game plan for Kentucky's defense. Nick, I wanted to ask you, what did you think of Shane Beamer's press conference? Not from what he said, just more from what he said, but kind of the tone and kind of what he was trying to deliver. Because I thought it was very much like it almost came off across like this team is down and I got to pick them up.
There was a lot of it's on me. I'm the leader of this program and I got to be Mr. Accountability. And also a lot of serving to the fan base, I thought, where he's trying to rally them too, because he knows they need them for this big game, where he's like, hey, for us to be good, I know that responsibility ultimately falls on my shoulders. We got the best atmosphere in college football. This run game is broken. It's not good enough. I told my coaches that, and we've got to get it fixed. He did his typical Shane Beamer things, but I thought those were some very intentional messages.
Yeah, I just looked at it through the prism of he was speaking to his team.
I got a little bit of both too. I got a little bit of let's rally for the fans as well.
Yeah, I think it smelled like that's what you like. It almost felt like to me what you say when you're your leader and the morale's not very high inside the building. Now that's me reading between the lines.
Well,
That doesn't mean anything in particular, but I think it's just something maybe to pay
and he
attention
talked
to here, especially if
he,
Kentucky gets a lead.
that he made the point about their defense too, that they had a lot of old vets on that group last year. They don't necessarily do.
Yeah, the leadership, that's been a big talking point, I think, this
Yeah.
week is just like
Yeah.
player leadership.
Well, and of all people who I saw a quote tweet, and it was Vince, and it was a Dan Campbell clip about how his best players are the hardest workers, and that's just really infectious around a team. I'm not questioning Sellers' work ethic. He doesn't strike me as a very vocal kind of guy.
He's even said it. Like I think Beamer even said as much.
Yeah, but
that's just I think a glimpse though over there, like what's going on with them.
Mm-hmm.
They're at a little crossroads themselves. So again, just a huge game. I wrote a column this week just kind of talking about like how big this all is for both sides, and it's even moving forward. Like this is a must win for both sides every year, because the path to success for Kentucky to have a South Carolina loss and for South Carolina to have Kentucky losses just feels impossible unless you have that win. And it kind of plays out this year, just when you see how the years have gone. Just a monstrous game. Two teams, I think, with flaws, but if they could get a bounce, you feel like they can maybe find a path here one way or the other. But just a fascinating matchup, and I'm excited to see how it shakes out, because I think from both sides you can look at it like you could see a path to victory. You can also see a path to disaster in this football game.
All right, well, we're going to lay out the paths, but first I'm going to lay out my swag that I'm going to be bringing down to Columbia. We got the rollback gear. I was bartending Friday night at a family friend's birthday party, big birthday party, a lot of people, and one of the guys had the Kentucky Game Day polo from Roback, and I was telling him, hey, you haven't gotten Roback yet? See how awesome his shirt is? These shirts are comfortable. The collars are great. They're awesome. Use promo code KSR and you get 20% off your first purchase at roback.com. That's RHOBACK.com. Promo code KSR for 20% off your first purchase. They're awesome gear. Q-zips, polos, hoodies, joggers, shorts. I was an idiot, got the wrong size. Did the return deal. It was very simple. Bada boom, bada bam. Roback, they're great to work with. Make sure you got their gear on today. Roback.com, promo code KSR for 20% off your first purchase. All right, Luckett, let's do worst case scenario first, right? Let's lay out the bad before we get to the good. I think the bad is that Fakari,
yes, starting cornerback.
I think we see some Beamer dumbassery and they get like 3 non-offensive touchdowns. And right, like that feels like the worst case scenario where you actually do like your special teams units and then one lets you down. They jump a Cutter Boley hitch or something like that. That's a pick six. And then you fumble going into the end zone or something like that. So that maybe it's not necessarily they're getting direct points off of it, but you're losing points because you miss an opportunity in the red zone and come up empty-handed. Kind of like last year when they're on the 2-yard line all those times. And that doesn't feel like the worst. Like that doesn't feel totally implausible where you get one big play and it leads to another. I'm gonna make sure I've got those quotes at the ready. There was a lot of quotes this preseason about basically stress testing them to overcome adversity because they didn't feel like they were built for that a year ago. And they wanted to make sure that this team was built for adversity. And I know like Stoops and Beamer and all them would hate us bringing up all these old games, but they're easy examples to draw from. It was the Deebo Samuel 80-yard touchdown on the first play, something like that, 67 yards. Was it Deebo or was it Cooper?
Debo was hit. I thought he had a kickoff. It was either a kickoff return. It was Debo. It was either a
yeah.
kickoff return or
It was
no.
like a
It was
slant.
like a slant. Yeah.
Yeah, and he just took it like 67 yards to the house. That how well does Kentucky to respond to something like that? Because I think that South Carolina is going to get one of those, whether it comes from a punt return, whether it comes in the form of a Sellers big scramble or a Nick Harbor, whatever it may be. They're probably going to get one of those. If they crumple, it's worst case scenario for the whole season. But if they respond to adversity, then I think that they have the weapons to be able to land a counter punch or two.
Yeah, I think that's all that's all possible, and it's like you've got to be able to handle adversity in game.
Where do you think South Carolina, like, just Sellers is it just Sellers hero ball is their biggest advantage, or where do you think's the spot where Kentucky's most vulnerable?
Yeah, I think like if you got into this game, they're able to have some success on the ground, and then Sellers maybe rips off a couple runs. Kentucky loads up in the box, play one-on-one on the outside, and then they've got some guys that can go win vertically. And so that's where offensively or defensively for Kentucky, they could get in trouble. But, Nick, I have a hard time seeing South Carolina score a lot of points in this game.
Yep.
Like, I just have a hard time seeing it. To me, the game comes down to just can Kentucky score enough to win this game? Can you get to 20 points? That almost feels like it. If you get to 20 points, you win the game. Like, to me, I think the first one to 17 wins this game. And so,
so you're betting the under? Because I got in on it, and I kind of want to double down. Got in on it. Is that 45 and a half, 46 and a half on BetMGM? Something like that. Oh,
46. It was like a 26 and a half to 20 projected final score. So, 46 and a half last I checked.
So you taking that?
Yeah, you have to take the under. To me, that's the play in this game. I don't see another play. I do not know how you go to the window and say, laying a touchdown with the Gamecocks. And this offense has scored 6 offensive touchdowns in 4 games.
Well, and that's why that line, I texted you today. I was like, SP Plus has this, like, Kentucky's a favorite on a neutral site, according to SP Plus, with their touchdown dog in this game. I was like, what? Which at least somebody pointed out the opening line probably, it opened at 3.5 and it jumped up. Like, so people really like that number on the South Carolina side, but that's a big number. That's a big smelly number.
Yeah, I would say the line early line movement is probably like they got a lot of money on it. So to me, it smells like they're just trying to get it close to 50-50. But
I get that. But now
you can get in trouble if you try to read too much into why the line is what it is.
No,
but to your point, I don't see how you lay 6.5 with the Gamecocks.
And then I'm worried that Vegas is daring me to take Kentucky here. I mean, they're almost daring me too much. Like, what's going on here? I don't. So that's just my thought. Anyway, back to pathways. We're going to pathways. You mentioned Kentucky. Can they get to 20 points? So is this really what it sounds like to me? You're saying is this is where we find out if Kentucky's investments in the trenches and in Dante Dowdell and Seth McGowan, you get your ROI.
Yeah, I think you have first thing Kentucky has to do is have an effective and efficient ground game and to be able to control the game with their traditional run game. That's 100% certain. Like you have to have that. And if you're able to do that, you're going to create scoring opportunities. And if you create enough, you think you would have to be able to, score some points in this game. So yeah, I think no doubt that has to be that. And then if you do that, then I think you like your chances to maybe create some explosives in the play action pass game.
I'm doing the thing where I get more optimistic throughout the week because one thing we have not mentioned is something that we mentioned last week, and it's frankly just how bad Kentucky is off of bye. There's no way around that. And the part that I think is the hardest about it all is that, I mean, they're never going to say, yeah, we sucked at practice last week. But I do think the energy, I think Cutter has brought a little bit of juice to that football team right now. And so, like, if they come out flat again, then you just got to wonder, like, can Stoops just never take a week off ever again? I mean, it just because I don't 5-9 straight up against SEC foes and 2-10 ATS. Is that correct? I believe that's right.
2-11. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, they're just so bad in these spots. I don't really understand why. Maybe there's a shell shock. On the road or something like that you could attribute it to. But really, a lot of it is just they've had extra time to get this plan ready. Now, go do it. Execute it. Let's ball.
Yeah, I think they lose. I think they just kind of lose the rhythm of the season. And they come out just, for lack of a better term, just flat and not as sharp, I would say, and dialed in as they need to be. Like last year, the Vandy game is a perfect example, which kind of I thought
have an edge is the word
encapsulates their issues. They come out a little flat, and then they have all these kind of self-inflicted errors. It's like they took a month off and then started playing again. They just come out rusty. And so they lose their kind of precision and their focus and their edge, I think, during these bye weeks. Now, they've changed some things up this week to try to change that. But at this point, those are words. We'll see if it works. But, like, this is a huge – I mean, how many times have they gone to Starkville and played like crap after a bye week? Felt like it happened every year.
That one Vandy home game where the wind was blowing harder than Christmas, that was one of them. Nick brought up that 3 of the last 4 were Tennessee twice. Tennessee's been pretty good. So, some of that plays into it, certainly. You're playing good teams off of it. But there is just it's kind of like that first half offense against Ole Miss, where I know you scored some points, but nothing looked crisp. Like, you just didn't look all the way there, right? Like, it would be nice to see them all the way there, particularly, and this is something that we haven't mentioned yet, South Carolina ranks dead last in average third down distance. Their average third down is 9.6 yards because they can't run the ball worth a fart.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They got some opportunity. I mean, we did 2 strip sacks on Sellers a year ago, and this pass rush is infinitely better. He's a big old boy, but they've seen some good runners so far. And, Noah Kim was probably the leakiest out of all of the guys they face, and all of them have been pretty mobile. I got a feeling, Sackham Souls, Cam Olds, like, there's going to be a few big defensive plays. Like, I think that is sort of your playbook is that, hey, with Sellers, how you beat him is like you can rush forward and get to him, right? On these third and long situations. You put them in these obvious pass situations. And we've seen the defense create turnovers at the start of game to give the offense a leg up. Like, I don't think it's crazy to kind of expect that. Maybe not the first pass attempt of every game, but I think you certainly can expect at least that front to keep this offense in the game if it takes them a while to figure it out. That's the part of the bye that I don't want to see gone, right? Like, that'll be the part that has me. It's the first quarter ends and we're up in the press box and Peak is like asking me what I think, and I'm just kind of pissed off and I don't. I'm like, Peak, get the hell out of here. I don't want to hear from you right now. But that will be the thing that will get me worried, is if I'm not seeing that juice from the trenches. Because is it fair to say that Kentucky's defensive line, including that edge position, is the best unit on the team?
Yeah, I think it's played that way. I think the 3 down, Saunders, Gusta, Humphrey Grace, and then I would even throw Tavian Gatson in there. Mm-hmm. That 4, yeah, that's been the strength of the team. They've been awesome to start this year. And specifically, I asked Brad White about this, like how important interior rush, and his rebuttal was, well, the outside, the whole rush is important because you can't lose contain on the outside, yada yada yada. But to me, South Carolina's having a lot of problems right now. Like I talked about, they moved the center over to right guard. Now this right guard, now he's going to have to go from right guard to center and, play center, right guard, center in 3 weeks.
We've seen how that goes.
They're starting a true freshman at left guard. So just that interior is an issue. They're going to be without their starting right tackle. Their left tackle was a big recruit for them, struggling. Again, that's a kind of a matchup Kentucky should own in this game. And if you're able to puncture the pocket and press from inside, I think it could give it gives any quarterback some issues, but I think it could create some problems for them. And when you look at their passing game, Nick, it hadn't been a lot of short and intermediate stuff. It's a lot of
boomer bust.
We're going deep, boys. Buckle up. And so
kind of like Kentucky.
If you can, puncture that pocket, press that pocket, you're going to give him some pressure before the routes can develop. And so, but it starts with stop the run. You wanted them to be in, like to your point, they've been average 3rd and 9 or whatever. That's where you want to keep them. You don't want them in 3rd and 4s, specifically with Sellers' running ability. That can create some problems because that's where they can take some shots too and get a numbers advantage. But yeah, defensively, I would just be pretty surprised if they come out here and score a bunch of points, South Carolina.
Somebody, who was? Didn't hit on mute. Back in the South, brings up a great point. Volleyball team, they swept the Gamecocks 3-0 tonight. Good omen. They should have swept them, but we'll say it's a good omen.
Yeah, I was getting ready. Isn't like isn't SEC volleyball? Does it from my understanding, it has kind of ACC football vibes. Is that too harsh?
No. Well, I think that's a good comp because Big Ten is the SEC, and then it's just the ACC and SEC are both leagues that have like 3 teams that are awesome at the top, but don't have a lot of depth. But I think your comp is good because the ACC,
the bottom of the league you can beat up on pretty fairly. Like SEC basketball, how we grew up on it.
Yes, yeah, because it's Texas, Kentucky, Florida, and then gets a little shoddy after that. I guess the ACC volleyball, I forgot they added Stanford, so that's another powerhouse. So they've got 4 or 5 really good teams in there now. But yeah, that's a good compliment. So we would be the Clemson of it. I mean, I guess technically maybe Texas would be because they've got more titles. But hey, we got a title in there. All right, push
we're like Florida. We're like Florida State. We
just
show
Craig
up.
Skinner, Bobby Bowden, a lot of similarities there.
Yeah, we just showed up and built the powerhouse out of nowhere.
Ava Hudson's basically Deion Sanders. Coach Prime. I digress though. I forgot what even we were. South Carolina. We're gonna get to our thoughts on the future schedule. But I know we have time to change, and we're not going to submit our predictions till Friday. But you mentioned that you can either think of this as an optimist or a pessimist. So are we feeling like an optimist or a pessimist right now?
I worry about the turnover margin. I worry about Kentucky finishing drives with points. And I worry about it being a close game in the fourth quarter, and they have the NFL quarterback.
It's fair. It's totally fair.
Off the bye week, I just think there's a lot of things there. And, Beamer has had their number. It honestly feels like a game, like a 17-16 game, Nick. Kentucky's leading throughout. They have 2 goal-to-goal possessions they don't score touchdowns on. They have to settle for a field goal. South Carolina gets a short field at some point in the fourth quarter, and on 3rd and 14, Sellers makes some crazy play, and then they score a touchdown 2 plays later.
Is this because the Reds are about to lose 2 in a row at home to the Pirates?
No, I just think this is no, but that's not making me very happy.
The losing to Paul Skeens, of course, they're going to struggle to find a run until late. And I guess they can rally. You still got a bottom half of the inning. But your wild card dreams are dwindling, Mr. Luckett.
Yeah, the good thing about the wild card is there's a bunch of bad teams playing for it. So that means losses for a lot of people. So you're never truly out of it because the Mets are getting smoked right now, 5-0 in the third. So
okay, so there's at least that, and you just kind of hope that the Brewers don't have their good stuff this weekend. So we'll be locked in on Friday night. We got what's our Big Ten Friday night football game?
We don't. We have Oklahoma State, TCU. Not Oklahoma State, Arizona State, TCU.
Okay.
TCU at Arizona State. I don't think the Big Ten has a Friday game this week.
That's a fun game. Love betting Friday night college football. We're out on the road in Columbia. It's going to be a great time. We hope that we'll see you out there. If you feeling froggy, or if you already plan on going in there but don't have tickets, download the Game Time app. It's the best way to get tickets out there. It's fast, it's efficient. Swipe, tap, go with Game Time. Partners here with us at KSR and on 3. They'll give you the best prices, flash deals all over the place. So download the Game Time app today. Just put in that promo code, KSR. You're going to get 20% off, $20 off your first purchase. Excuse me. Terms apply when you use the Game Time app. That's $20 off your first purchase. When you use the Game Time app, swipe, tap, ticket, go. Game Time, your best way to get tickets on the World Wide Web. I wish I had the skills that our friend Mr. Peak does to be able to pull up the screen, but it's a sellout at Williams-Brice Stadium on Saturday night. But you can get in the door, Mr. Luckett, with one of these flash deals, $76 get you into Williams-Brice Stadiums. And that's what's great about some of these deals. Like, I mean, they've got basically a front row seat, row 3. I think this might be the Kentucky section too. Row 3 for $129.
Yeah, Kentucky always has a decent fan turnout for this game.
$98 for that mezzanine. Like, there are some great deals on the Game Time app right now. So go ahead, go get you some tickets. Go watch the Cats and the Cocks. This is one of the best road trips there is out there. Once again, one final time. It's actually promo code on3. My apologies. I thought it was. I couldn't get my stinking notes app. My notes app isn't working. My apologies. But create your account and use code on3. $20 off your first purchase at Game Time. GameTime.co, the Game Time app. All right, Mr. Luckett. We got ourselves a schedule. And it's not technically a schedule. We'll get all the games later, but we know who Kentucky's going to play from 2026 through 2029. Whew. Yeah. Well, just hit me with your takeaways first, and I'll share you mine, because I feel like I got to empty the clip on Tuesday night. Well, I want to hear some of Luckett's takeaways from this future SEC schedule.
There's no hiding from just the brutality of this.
Mm-hmm.
It is absolutely brutal. But if you're a season ticket holder, and if you want to, like, if you're among the group of people that like to travel for these games, it is awesome for you. Like, you're going to get some cool experiences out of this. That is the pro. The con is just the brutality of it, in that you can see it going wrong pretty fast for Kentucky, specifically if they do not have their stuff together. And I think it becomes really important if you're Kentucky, or even every school in the SEC. You're going to need some recalibration of just like, what's a good season, what's this and what's that. And timing's always important. It's even more important now. And I think it's even more reason to pay attention to what other schools are doing if you're a Kentucky fan. Like, are other schools operating as they should? Are other schools making good hires? Are other schools making bad hires? Because, like, Kentucky, like, they draw Florida. Florida's who you kind of want right now. But what happens if they flip it, you know? Tennessee before is who you want. Now they have Heupel, and it's not necessarily a team you want to see every year. But I think we get too hung up on the permanence.
Yeah.
because the schedules are hard regardless, right? Because of all these teams you're rotating in and on. But important thing to remember, I believe, is that not all these teams can be good at the same time. Like, I think we see these schedules and we think like Ole Miss is going to be the Ole Miss they are right now. They're not going to be that long term. But even some teams like Texas is probably going to do a Texas thing eventually, Nick, and they're going to fall back and mess around. Alabama's in kind of a
weird spot. They're not saving.
So you get out of playing the big juggernaut right now to me in the league, which is Georgia every year, which is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's gonna be challenging. It just is.
The point that Brian makes is
tie game, baby. Boom. Let's go, Ty Steve.
Brian makes a point that making a bowl game each year will be a challenge, and in each evolution of this game, you recalibrate. It might take some time, but you ultimately recalibrate. For the longest time, they only played 10, 11 games, right? Like Jerry Claiborne would have these good years where they're 7-4. It was an awesome year. And then you get the 8th win in the Hall of Fame game. But a lot of those years, it was 5-4-1. You end up adding the 12th around 2099, something like that. They started expanding to more bowl games. So going to a bowl game became a lot easier. Mm-hmm. Well, now you're expanding from 10 power conference games. And the way I look at it, and I'm not good at the math here, but the easy math in my brain is I just liken it to an NFL schedule. Like, because that's what this is. I mean, I'll pull it up here, but this is like all these helmet logos right here. That's an NFL schedule. 2028 at Bama, at LSU, at Tennessee, at South Carolina. I think is that wrong? I thought they were at Florida that year. I don't know. Either way, a lot of really good teams. My point is
because they get Florida at home 3 times in 4 years. But they have to go to South Carolina 3 times in 4 years. That was a trade-off.
Okay. So I get some of these mixed up. But point being, in the NFL, if you're 2 games over 500, it's a great year. Right? Like if you're 2 games over 500, you're going to the playoffs.
You're 11-7. It's getting in the playoffs. Now with 14 total teams getting in. Yeah.
Yeah, and if they go to 18, I thought 10-8, right? Like a 10-8 record, you're going to probably be a wild card team. Same thing here. If you are 2 games over 500, which means if you go 7-3 against these power conference opponents, you're a damn good football team, and you're getting into the playoff, the big one. And if you go 500 in the league, that's a 7-win season. You're going to a bowl game. That's a very good year, like for Kentucky standards historically. That's kind of how the recalibration is. You're going to have to think of it as sort of an NFL fan at the winning percentage and not necessarily the wins losses, because there's going to be a lot of years where you're going to have bankable wins like you used to, even when you thought teams were down and you thought they were up and you just marked the W in the preseason schedule. Like that's not going to happen.
Here is my overarching take, specifically in this new era. I think Kentucky, the university and the program, they like to promote that they've been to all these bowl games, right?
Yeah.
Like they use that as the line of success.
Yes.
I think you have to throw that out.
Yes.
That does not matter anymore to fans.
No.
To me, what matters, Nick, you get into November and you are alive for the thing. You're playing in games that matter in November.
Playoff eliminators.
That is the goal. That is what you want to get to. Can you get to that with this schedule? And that's going to be the hard part. And then what's a realistic expectation to get that? Because I feel like now you can almost schedule your way into that in the 8-game model. When Kentucky's operating in a good kind of way, where they're going to bowl games like they were in the past, there's many of those years they're in November and they're in the hunt.
Yeah.
But I don't like this new schedule. How does that shake out? Because to me, that's what's really going to matter. Because that's what every fan base, that is the goal now, is to make the playoff. That is just the goal. The bowl games are fun. They're enjoyable. They're a way to – and you can have good seasons and not make the playoff.
Yeah.
But I think to have a good season now, you have to play games in November where you're alive in the playoff hunt.
Which would have happened.
And the thing is going to expand to 16 teams.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're getting to a point where you're getting pretty close to an 8-4 team, and the SEC can make got a real good chance to make the playoff.
Yeah.
And so to me, that is how you determine success. It's not that they make the playoff. Are you playing in games where you could where you're a couple wins away from getting potentially into the playoff, and you're playing games that matter in November?
I don't know how many years Kentucky is away from it. It doesn't feel like it's happening now. But even if you're playing spoiler in those games later in the season, just being a part of the conversation. And I think, to go back to where we started on this show, part of the thing that's really stunk is that Kentucky's not a part of the college football conversation at all this year. And you lose this game, and, you play the game of, oh, well, that's a hard out. That's a hard out. Where are all the easy teams? Well, if none of the other teams are easy wins for you, then you're the easy win for them. Right? So win this weekend, please. Please. It would be nice to just be a part of the conversation, be a part of a team that's relevant. One win can't do that, but it can at least buy a lot of goodwill in this fan base. We're going to be putting out a lot of content between here and kickoff. Late night, 7:45 SEC Network special. It's going to be a good time. Peak's coming back from his mini moon, doing some video content. Hopefully not video content of wreck on, is it I-40? I think it's I-40.
Were we off I-4? We were at a gas station in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it was right when we got through the mountains.
We were in South Carolina, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, or North Carolina, right before you get to Asheville. Waynesville is the exit. Lake Jonaluska. But I've been told that it gets down to one lane in some of those parts. So we might have to take a pit stop at that Gatlinburg Buc-ee's before we hit into the meat grinder of that drive.
Nothing more fun than blogging on a Friday in a car when Roush is driving. That is a sign of a road trip. Me getting some work done on the laptop. Not only that, we're gonna have stuff going on with the Ryder Cup.
Oh yeah, Taylor Zarzor is going to be on the call for Sirius XM Golf. Have they shared the pairings for that yet?
I think they came out today. I haven't looked at them yet.
Okay,
I'm gonna share some pics on KS Board.
Okay,
for the Ryder Cup tomorrow, so we'll have that up there. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun weekend, exciting weekend, and a huge weekend. For Kentucky. The path to success have to have a win. It's a huge game.
Somebody asked,
and the fan base, the program needs it, and the fan base needs it.
Somebody asked if we got a Jordan Dingle revenge game. People forget that Jordan Dingle plays for South Carolina. That's where he transferred, and he didn't really do much of anything until as of late. But 4 catches for 64 yards the last 2 games, so they're starting to get it to him more. But yeah, people forget that Jordan Dingle plays for South Carolina now. So. Hopefully he doesn't get a revenge game. Wouldn't that be ironic? Like, you're having this great year with the tight ends, and then your former tight end.
He's had a decent season. Now they do like the old play action, throw it to the tight end in the flat. I think he had a 30-yard catch against Vanderbilt. I think he had a big catch against Missouri
it was like
last week.
2015, something like that. So
that's a storyline that's kind of gotten, I think, lost in the shuffle a little bit this week. But yeah.
So something else to keep an eye on, but we'll have plenty more content. We're going to get back to making some of that content. Luckett, go watch your Reds. I guess they're my Reds too. I like them. I just, it's baseball. Like, it's kind of But this weekend, football, loaded slate. We'll preview it tomorrow on Pigskin Preview right here on this KSR YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed. We appreciate you hanging out with us. And we'll see you in Columbia. For Adam Luckett, I'm Nick Roush. Go Cats, and go Kroger.